This meeting of the Senate Judiciary Committee will come to order. This hearing, entitled Book Bans, How Censorship Limits Liberty in Literature, will come to order. In 1928, the city of Chicago banned a book known as The Wonderful Wizard of Oz from all of its public libraries. Local leaders claimed that the book would have, quote, an ungodly influence on its readers. We now consider The Wonderful Wizard of Oz to be, in the words of the Library of Congress, a timeless American classic. Unfortunately, there is a long history in our country of banning books we now consider classic works of literature. This video, which I'm about to show, will indicate this is not the first time that the Senate Judiciary Committee has considered the negative influence of books. I ask them to start the video.
If you want to know the cause of all this, here it is. It's these rotten comic books. Cut them out, and things like this would not happen.
It is my opinion, without any reasonable doubt and without any reservation, that comic books are an important contributing factor in many cases of juvenile delinquency.
A Tennessee school board has banned the critically acclaimed graphic novel Mouse. It is a true story about the horrors of the Holocaust by Art Spiegelman.
Mouse is the German word for mouse. The school board claimed it banned the graphic novel because of profanity and nudity.
I read the minutes of the school board banning Mouse. Most of the people, it was clear from their minutes, haven't read the book. We still had eyeballs. I see those images, and I'm like, okay, this is a picture of nudity, so that we can prohibit. And this over here, this has a bad word. But as far as they're concerned, as long as they stop short saying, we're banning this because this history makes us uncomfortable, and we don't want our kids to have to be exposed to these things, they're on safer ground.
This process is really unnecessary. We are professionals in our classrooms, and we know what is best for our students.
The kids want to read books. The kids in here are asking me, can I go get a book and read? And they're so excited. And I have to say no, because I haven't had a chance to go through all of them, to catalog them, to write them all down, to send off to somebody that is going to tell them, if they can or cannot read the books in my classroom library.
In the 1850s, Uncle Tom's Cabin, a classic anti-slavery novel, was banned throughout the southern United States. 2 decades later, in 1873, Congress passed the Comstock Act, a law that mandated up to 5 years in prison for any person who sold or distributed a book that was, quote, obscene, lewd, or lascivious. The law did not define the terms, and hundreds of Americans were convicted for distributing books about topics such as atheism and reproductive health. As the video showed, this committee itself held a series of hearings in 1954 to examine the threat that comic books like Superman pose to children. The anti-comics panic culminated in the industry's comics code that censored comic books for decades. That may seem absurd today, but extremists continue to fight popular graphic novels like Mouse and other books. In 2022, there were over 1,000 requests to ban books at public schools and libraries, the most in almost 20 years. Here are just a few of the books that have been banned or restricted in schools and libraries over the past few years. I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, The Handmaid's Tale, Narrative of the Life of Frederick Douglass, A Raisin in the Sun, Brave New World, and Beloved. These are books written by some of the greatest American authors, including trailblazing Black women like Toni Morrison and Maya Angelou. Even works written by Martin Luther King Jr. were banned temporarily in a fervor to limit access to books about race or racism, all in the name of prohibiting material supposedly related to critical race theory. Let's be clear, efforts to ban books are wrong, whether they come from the right or the left. While we ban books like Mouse or To Kill a Mockingbird in the name of protecting students, we are instead denying these students an opportunity to learn about different people and difficult subjects. Limiting access to a book about anti-Semitism or racism does not protect students from the actual history or the reality that hate still exists. In the name of protecting students, politicians have targeted books that include LGBTQ plus subject matter. 1 out of every 4 banned books features LGBTQ plus characters and themes, according to PEN America. No one is advocating for sexually explicit content to be available in an elementary school library or a children's section of a library. That's a distraction from the real challenge. I understand and respect that parents may choose to limit what their children read, especially at younger ages. My wife and I did, others do too. But no parent should have the right to tell another parent's child what they can and cannot read in school or at home. Every student deserves access to books that reflect their experiences and help them better understand who they are. I want to commend Senator Cornyn, who said last year, and I quote, "As a general rule, I don't favor banning age-appropriate and subject-appropriate books for children. They need to hear a diversity of views." I agree with him. That's exactly right. Unfortunately, librarians and teachers across this country who are just doing their jobs have been threatened with physical violence and criminal prosecution by a small group of zealots. These efforts to ban books violate our most cherished principles as Americans and betray our values as a nation. We must protect our students and their freedom to read and learn. With that, I hand this off to Ranking Member Graham for his opening statement.